Hey there, good morning. Welcome to the JeepSolid garage. So today we're going to be working on Sully. We got to do a quick brake inspection, and I wanted Sasha to test out the brakes because they're really spongy. And one other thing I got to show her on the fluid level. The fluid level is very concerning. All right, fire it up, warm it up a little bit. Come on.
Is it dead?
No, try it again. It's just been sitting for a while. How does the stash look? Does the stash look like it's coming in okay? Getting mixed reviews from my family. Yeah, thinking you need new blades. Now, you've been driving our other vehicles, right? So pay attention to what the brake feels like on this and just how reactive it is. If it feels really soft when you push on it. What do you think of the brakes?
I hate that. It takes so long to fully stop. They're so spongy. Brakes are definitely rough.
Super spongy, doesn't stop very well. So your brakes work by hydraulics. So you actually have brake fluid. This is your fluid reservoir, and this is the master cylinder down here. And all these little lines, so your brakes, when you push on the pedal, it pushes like a little plunger that is a hydraulic system, and it forces fluid through these down to all of your brake cylinders. We'll take a look at that in a minute when we pop the wheel off. So we're going to take this cap off, but before we do that, kind of clean up the dirt around the edge a little bit. We don't want any debris getting in there. And go ahead and pop the cap off. And there's a minimum and maximum on there. Do you see those levels on the side?
Add right here and fill up here.
Full up there. And when we look down inside of it, or where's the level at? See, this isn't the level right here, that darkness. Do you see any fluid in there?
No.
That is very concerning. It's pretty much empty. So we're going to add fluid to it. So the question is, why is it out of fluid? Where did the fluid go? Is it leaking somewhere?
I don't know.
That's what we're going to check. There you go.
Is that blinker fluid?
Yep, top of the line. That is actually fresh. You can only use fresh brake fluid. You can't use old brake fluid. So this is a bottle I used on PJ recently. Go ahead and open that up and fill it up to the full level. Finished off that bottle. We're getting another one here because it was really low. And that's why the brakes were so spongy. Being spongy is a symptom of having air in your system. The whole purpose of having the fluid is that fluid doesn't compress. So you push on the brake and that fluid just goes through to the cylinders, to those little pistons, and they push out and you stop. If you get air in there, air compresses. So that's why when you push on it, it feels soft because the air will compress where the fluid won't. In hindsight, we probably shouldn't have filled this all the way because we're going to do a brake job on this and we're going to be compressing those cylinders and it'll force fluid back up in it. But we'll just suck a little bit out. Are the wheels chalked? Now when you're jacking the Jeep up, you got to be really careful of what points you're jacking. These Jeeps are designed to take like a scissor jack or something right here, or we can put the jack under the frame rail right here. That's a really good spot to jack. What you can't do is put the jack like right here on the floorboard because you'll just crush that. It'll pop right into the interior of your cab and you'll have a bad day. So we're actually jacking it up on the axle right now. Now we got it safely up on jack stands. The wheels are chalked. So I'll go ahead and remove the lug nuts. Kind of heavy, but go ahead and pull it off and roll it back behind you. That's just a safety measure that if the Jeep did fall off the jack stand, the tire would help hold it up a bit. Your rotor here, it's all rusted, but that's just because it hasn't been driven. And as we drive it, it'll clean that up. Oh. But your pads, so this is the brake pad right there. Mm-hmm. So that's what pinches against the rotor to make you stop. And you've got one on the backside, which we got to look at as well. This one has plenty of pad left. Can you see on the other side how much pad is left? You actually might be able to look through the little gaps here and see the pad. Is it thick?
Mm-hmm. This one looks more worn out though.
Yeah, right in the center there. Plenty of pad left on that side too. This brake actually looks okay. Now let's look at the cylinder back here. So that's like the little piston that pushes to clamp, and when you push on your brake, that's how your brake works. We just want to make sure it's not leaking, and we might just have to bleed the system to get the air out.
What's bleed the system?
So bleed the system to get the air out. So you push on the pedal and it creates some pressure. I open this up and a little bit of air or fluid comes out. I close it, then you let off the pedal just like we did on PJ. So overall, this one actually looks pretty good. I don't see any leaks. So this is our brake line coming in on the back side. We'll bleed this one. The pads look good, and you always do pads on both sides at the same time. So we'll check the pads on the other side, make sure they're okay. Even if these ones were fine and those other ones were bad, we wouldn't leave these. We would replace these.
Okay.
You always do them in sets. And I'd like to give a special thank you to Dustin. He's one of my channel members, impact driver level. So here's a look at his 93 YJ, which he picked up as a project. I guess where he's at down in Louisiana, these YJs are getting really hard to find. So good find, Dustin, and thank you for your support. So this is a drum brake. So the front of the Jeep, those are disc brakes, which actually work a lot better, have better braking power. But you'll find that modern cars have disc brakes all around, but these older Jeeps, they have drum brakes in the rear, which work. Most of your braking power is in the front anyways. So we got to take this drum off, and then we can see the shoes, which is the part of the brakes that wear.
Okay.
And also we're going to look for leaks. Do you have the parking brake set?
I think so. I can check.
So the parking brake will actually be, I think it's on this side, and we won't be able to pull that drum off if we have the brake set. So go ahead and release the parking brake. So yeah, that outer drum will just pull right off. The whole thing just slip it right off. It's kind of heavy. Yeah, you don't want to be touching the inside surface here very much, which is, it's fine if you touched it, but we'll have to clean that off with brake cleaner because we don't want oils from your hands on that. So you see how this system is different? So this has shoes. So that's the wheel cylinder right there, and that's where the brake fluid is going to. It kind of comes in the backside through the brake line, right? And it goes to this wheel cylinder, and then that pushes out to these shoes on each side. And this is the wearable surface. And that's what wears out on your brakes. It's got a lot of dust on it, but there's actually quite a bit. You can see these rivets, these little holes. So we've actually got a lot of room before it wears down all the way to those rivets. I mean, they're pretty worn, but you know, not worth replacing right now. And now all this dust, all these little bits of brake dust you see, that is like really bad for you. We'll take a brake cleaner and we'll spray this off just to kind of rinse that and get all that gunk off. If we were replacing brakes, the shoes or the wheel cylinder or anything, we would get this all cleaned up nice before we started working on it. You just want to be careful of that dust and not get it on you and not breathe it in. Do you see where the brake line comes in?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. So we're just kind of looking for leaks. We're trying to figure out why this was so low on fluid. So yeah, your brake line comes in right up here and goes to that cylinder. That cylinder doesn't look like it's leaking. We'll check the one on the other side. That's your parking brake or emergency brake.
Okay.
And it comes along to this mechanism under here, and that's what sets your parking brake. So the brakes on the passenger side actually look good. We will pop the wheels off the other side because we got to pull the drum, right? That's a drum brake.
Yes.
We got to pull that on the other side. That's the only way to check the drum brakes. The disc brakes, like this front one, we didn't have to pull the wheel off to check it. We could see the pads just by crawling underneath. So we'll do that, but we'll have to pop the drum off the back to see how the condition of that brake is. Make sure those wheel cylinders aren't leaking either. Yeah, it's a lot harder to see with the wheel on, huh? But yeah, right up, where are we at? Right up in there. You can see the brake pad. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And is there enough pad there?
Yeah.
And while we're all cozy under here, let's talk about the condition of the rotor. So that's the round part, right? That disc that the pads squish on to stop you. And see how this one's all nice and shiny? The other one was rusty because the Jeep has been sitting. But this is all shiny, and that's what it's supposed to look like, and it's supposed to be smooth.
Okay.
It's not supposed to be kind of rough looking or kind of like a matte finish. It's supposed to be shiny. And also it's not supposed to have like grooves in it. If it has grooves in it, that means that the pad has worn down to a place where it's starting to damage the rotor. So now you can look at the pad on this side, and you can just look through the wheel there to see it. Okay, what does that pad look like?
It looks pretty good.
Looks pretty thick, doesn't it? So let's, we have just one more wheel to check, the driver's side rear, but we don't have enough room to work there, so we're gonna have to move the Jeep out of the way to do that, okay?
Okay.
And if you need to do a brake job or any other repair on your Jeep, I really recommend the Haynes manual. I like Haynes manual over some of the others. It's really clear, it has all your torque measurements in here. So I'll be sure to link Haynes manual for the Cherokee and the Wranglers in the description below. Well, the brakes on this actually look better than I was expecting. I was expecting those pads to be really worn down and needing to do like complete brake job on this. But honestly, I think we just need to bleed the brakes, which we will do in another episode. So what do you think of that? You learned something about brakes?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah? Cool. So thank you guys for watching, and catch us in the next episode right up here. Have a good day.